No one expected the sky to bleed. People in New York stood frozen as the sunrise twisted into a deep, impossible red, painting skyscrapers like they were soaked in blood. At first it felt like an eclipse, then a storm, then something far worse. Birds plummeted from the sky, smashing onto sidewalks. Car alarms wailed. Power surged, flickered, and died. The moment the sky pulsed like a heartbeat, the city fell silent. Then the screaming began. Something invisible swept down through Times Square, draining people of life in seconds, leaving them pale, hollow, and collapsed mid-step. Subways shut down as survivors rushed underground, choking on fear. The air grew cold, vibrating with an eerie hum, like something was whispering beneath the clouds. Emergency broadcasts failed one after another, replaced by static that sounded almost alive. Everyone thought it was an attack, a disaster, a freak phenomenon. But deep inside that red glow, silhouettes drifted like shadows swimming through light. And as the sky expanded outward, covering the city inch by inch, New Yorkers realized the horrible truth. The sky wasn't changing color, it was descending. And whatever lived inside it had already begun hunting. Washington, D.C. collapsed faster than anyone imagined. Before officials could react, the same red sky bled across the Capitol dome, humming like a living engine. Tourists running for shelter were drained mid-stride, their bodies freezing like statues as color faded from their skin. Secret Service agents dragged leaders toward underground bunkers, but even steel doors and biometric locks couldn't stop what came next. Security cameras flickered, lights buzzed out, and in the darkness, something slipped through vents, a presence that didn't move but spread, like a shadow that breathed. Panic erupted across the city. A national emergency broadcast was attempted, but the signal twisted into a garbled voice whispering, "It begins tonight." Analysts reviewing satellite footage noticed something chilling. The sky wasn't just covering the nation. It was reacting, adapting, tightening like a predator circling prey. Every attempt to launch aircraft failed as engines stalled beneath the red haze. The military tried firing into the sky, but the projectiles dissolved before reaching the clouds. Phones vibrated with warnings, but messages vanished instantly. D.C. wasn't just falling, it was being consumed. And every survivor who looked upward felt the same terror. The sky was watching them. Chicago became a nightmare within hours. The red sky dipped so low it brushed the tops of skyscrapers, crackling with faint lightning shaped like veins. People exposed to it too long didn't just collapse, they changed. Their eyes turned faintly red, their movements slow, twitchy, unnatural. They became skied, drained, dead figures wandering the streets as if guided by an unseen command. Highways jammed instantly as millions tried fleeing the city, but the red glow followed vehicles like a hungry fog. Sirens wailed everywhere, yet no help arrived. Ethan and Mia, trapped downtown, realized the sky responded to sound when a distant car alarm triggered a violent pulse from above. They sprinted into the underground rail tunnels, navigating darkness lit only by emergency strobes. The tunnels echoed with shuffling footsteps, not all human. As they moved deeper, they discovered entire groups of survivors hiding silently, terrified to speak, breathe loudly, or make the slightest noise. Above ground, Chicago was becoming a feeding ground. The sky wasn't random, it was hunting with intention. And the skied, drained weren't wandering blindly, they were listening, every vibration, every whisper, every breath, and they were coming closer. The road west along Route 66 felt endless, lined with abandoned cars, overturned trucks, and towns frozen in silence. Ethan and Mia traveled with a handful of survivors, each night revealing something new and worse. The red sky didn't remain still. It followed slowly, creeping like a predator savoring the chase. In the desert, the temperature dropped unnaturally low despite the blazing sun. Shadows moved against the wind. At night, something tall and skeletal roamed the empty towns, creatures made of fog and bone, thin limbs, mimicking human voices perfectly. They called out names, begged for help, cried like children. But when anyone approached, they revealed mouths like cracks of light, screaming with a sound that summoned the sky's pulse. Inside an abandoned Arizona diner, Ethan found symbols burned into the walls, spirals and warnings carved with trembling hands. The sky is not the enemy. What comes after is worse. As they camped that night, the ground vibrated faintly, like something massive shifting beneath the desert. The sky flashed, reshaping the creatures into stronger, larger hunters. Ethan realized something horrifying. The sky was evolving, learning, preparing, and whatever it prepared for was coming fast. Los Angeles transformed into a battlefield the moment the red sky cracked open above it. A tear ripped across the clouds like a wound, releasing beams of crimson light that swept through the streets with deadly precision. Crowds vanished instantly wherever the beams touched, dissolving into particles that drifted upward like stolen souls. Fires erupted across Hollywood Hills. Highways split from tremors. The ocean even turned dark red near the shore, as if infected by the sky itself. Ethan and Mia arrived to find chaos, with helicopters spiraling out of control and crashing into burning rooftops. Survivors gathered at a broadcast station, desperate to send a message to the world, revealing what they'd learned. The sky was a terraform weapon, preparing Earth for something living inside it. The transmission was brief before being cut off by an overwhelming surge of interference. Mia studied the patterns in the static and noticed a repeating code, coordinates hidden inside the distortion. They pointed to a classified location in Nevada. The sky's beams intensified, sweeping block by block, hunting anyone still alive. L.A. wasn't just dying, it was being erased, and the next clue to stopping it lay buried in the desert. The Nevada desert felt unnaturally silent as Ethan, Mia, and a small group approached the hidden entrance to Area 51. The sky above them flickered like a dying flame, but the red glow still loomed close behind. Deep underground, the facility was abandoned, alarms frozen mid-blare, and monitors looping corrupted footage. In a sealed archive chamber, they found something terrifying: recordings from 1984 of scientists studying a fragment of red plasma retrieved from deep space. It was small then, a glowing, unstable organism that dissolved metal and emitted faint whispers. The footage showed it breaking containment, consuming researchers, and vanishing into thin air. Classified documents revealed the truth. The red sky wasn't an attack. It was the organism returning after decades of growing, learning, and evolving among the stars. The creatures they'd seen were its soldiers, extensions of itself. The only chance to stop it was to destroy its core, a biological heart located deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. As they prepared to leave, the facility trembled violently. The organism had found them. Lights burst. The walls pulsed, and through the intercom, a voice that was not human whispered, "You opened the door." The journey through the Rocky Mountains felt like marching into the belly of a living creature. Trees glowed faintly red at night, their leaves trembling without wind. The ground vibrated with a slow, rhythmic thump, the heartbeat of the organism beneath. The deeper Ethan, Mia, and the military unit traveled, the more distorted the world became. Fog crawled along the forest floor, moving deliberately like fingers searching for prey. Skied, Rained creatures wandered the slopes, gathering in clusters as if waiting for orders. When the group entered a system of collapsing tunnels, the walls pulsed like veins, warm to the touch, and oozing streaks of red light. Above them, the sky tore open fully, revealing a swirling vortex shaped like an enormous eye. Its gaze felt alive, judging, choosing. The closer they came to the core's location, the louder the heartbeat became, shaking rocks loose from the ceiling. Entire mountain sections trembled as if the land itself were rejecting them. Every second felt like a countdown. Every step forward was a fight against exhaustion, fear, and the overwhelming sense that they were being watched from every direction at once. The final battle was waiting ahead, and it knew they were coming. The core was unlike anything they imagined, a massive, pulsating heart-shaped mass embedded deep in a cavern, glowing with swirling red veins that stretched across the mountains like roots. It pulsed with unnatural power, draining energy from everything around it. As soon as Ethan, Mia, and the soldiers entered the chamber, the vortex above unleashed its strongest burst yet, shaking the mountain violently. Thousands of Skyd rained poured through openings in the cavern walls, screaming in voices that weren't their own. The final battle erupted in chaos. The team fought desperately while Ethan carried the electromagnetic device toward the core. Every step felt like pushing through an invisible force trying to crush him. The core sensed the threat, contracting violently, sending shockwaves that threw bodies across the cavern. Ethan looked back at me one last time before activating the overload sequence. Light exploded through the chamber as the weapon detonated. The core collapsed inward, imploding in a blinding flash. The sky outside flickered white, then slowly dissolved into darkness. When morning came, the sky was clear for the first time. But as Mia stared upward, a faint red spark shimmered in the corner of a cloud, a quiet warning that it might return.